He comes out like this.
Are you fucking crazy? We are closed.
Baby Billy
Bible
Bible.
And go, ah! Drop it, I don't want to talk about it.
Drop it, hell. I want to hear about this, homie.
I said forget about it, cuz.
Well, you know, first of all, I didn't say anything.
Rubber man.
Rubber man, I like him.
Armadillo.
Black Sails pirates they're not the dirtiest pirates I've ever seen, but they're not like they're not like pirates.
I would
pirates.
know how much experience.
The pirates in the Vivid Video pirates were real clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody in Black Sails just obviously on point, just looks very sweaty.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're in the Caribbean.
Yeah, there's
It's hot.
humidity
Yeah.
on the
So-
seas.
Sweaty or they're covered in grave dirt.
Right.
dirt.
Yeah. Or sand. Yeah. They
Sand,
they
lots of
actually,
sand. There's a
they
lot
actually
of
do
sand.
very little pirating.
Yeah, they're not that much pirating,
They just run their brothels.
Very little pirating.
There's a lot of
man, I'm on
brothels.
like
A
episode
lot
9.
of
They haven't
brothels.
stolen a single movie from the internet. What is going on right now?
They're just
But
fucking
they
on a
did download a
beach.
car.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Like they're just, they're just doing their thing.
Ridiculous.
I'm sure real pirates, that's probably got to be a horrible life. But you know what?
I
They
wonder
did
if
their thing.
real pirates are just like, man, fuck Black Sails. That's not an accurate portrayal.
Yeah.
We
Do
did
real
way more
pirates
pirate
have
stuff.
Stars on their ship? Is that what network it's on? I don't even know. Like, are they
Stars?
aware of
Now
Black
I'm
Sails?
missing the references.
Stars
on their
is
ship.
the channel that it was.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Everybody forgets about Stars.
Yeah, no one remembers Stars. I'm honestly
Yeah.
surprised Josh remembered Stars.
Right.
Only because a movie I want to watch is on Stars. Anytime there's a movie that
Hold
finally
on.
releases on
Present
streaming,
tense, Stars is still around.
yeah,
Oh,
you can still
yeah.
get the Stars
Oh,
channel.
wow.
They're
Yeah.
owned by
Oh, yeah.
Lionsgate.
And you can get it on
Um,
Prime as like an add-on subscription.
Yeah, and I almost did
I
it
think
because
they-
there's like The Blackening is currently streaming on Stars. And there
Yeah.
was some other action movie that I wanted to watch. I was like, of course it's streaming on Stars because it was the only streaming service we didn't have for the longest time.
Mm.
That and MGM Plus is a thing now.
MGM Plus has got some
MGM
good
Plus.
stuff.
That's right. I
Uh,
think we
It
talked
is
about
a
that.
thing
Stars-
now. That's right.
Yeah, Stars also has the Minx, which just got canceled. But those two seasons.
That's
were
right because it was
really
on HBO,
HBO.
first, right? And then it moved to
Yeah.
Stars. That's why we were going to get
Yeah.
it. We love Minx.
good. Mhm. Yeah,
Now it's not even
second season
HBO.
was really good.
Mhm.
It's just Max.
That's right.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Max.
Wow. Yeah. First 2 2.5 minutes of this one are just about pirate fucking in the
Networks.
Caribbean and streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, the people at
Nice,
home
yeah.
didn't hear us discussing how James was making a porn parody version of every movie we've reviewed so far.
Yeah.
So
Actively.
we'll put a vote on the notes here. Is it Texas Chainsaw Assacre
Mm.
or what was the other one? Texas Dicksaw
Texas
Massacre?
Dicksaw Massacre.
Jigsaw
Yeah,
Massacre.
Texas Dicksaw Massacre or Texas Chainsaw Assacre. I think those are the two.
I like that one. I'm going with that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
I just like Dicksaw.
Dicksaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that on its
So,
own.
yeah.
Every time,
That's a
every
good
time,
hardcore
every
band
time
name.
oh my god, it's super like female fronted. It's like we're gonna saw your dick off. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jigsaw.
yeah, dick saw. I'm into it. Every time I say it, I think of the thing from Seven.
Oh God.
The
Yeah.
Dicksaw.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it took me a minute and I didn't want to go there.
I know you keep trying to black it out, but I'm not gonna let it. You're gonna fucking remember this.
Yeah.
Ugh, what a fucked up movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially that scene. I think that, well, no, I won't even go into that. There's a lot of fucked up scenes in that movie. I don't want to go there.
Let's talk about something far more romantic and peaceful. The
Yeah,
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre.
That's a good segue.
Yeah, that was good. I applaud you, Josh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So hardly a massacre, I would say. At least not even a chainsaw massacre. We see one
That's a good
person
point.
killed with a chainsaw, and we don't even really see it. We just see his sister freaking out over here.
Right.
I did notice
Well, this
this
is
time that there
happening over
is
there.
blood. There is blood spraying from Franklin, so there
Yeah.
is
Really?
some
Yeah.
tiny bit of gore.
Yeah.
But it's only when you see. I don't know if it's whenever you see Franklin, but when you're looking at Leatherface, they're throwing blood at him.
Yeah, like over Franklin's shoulder or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Right.
But it's still like, I was going to say if they made that movie today, it would be just all over the place with gore, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
to get into the newest one.
Right.
that'll
We'll get there
happen
eventually.
later.
Unfortunately,
But I didn't
But-
realize Toby was going for a PG rating when he made this one. And that's why he had
What?
no gore.
No.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
really?
I forgot about
This
that.
there are so many fun facts. This is one of those franchises that I
Yeah.
absolutely
Mhm.
love, but I've only watched the first two and then a couple of the random like later
Yeah.
ones
okay.
and
No.
never bothered to dig into
Oh, dude.
the like
Yeah.
behind the scenes facts
Fascinating.
and stuff. And I started doing that as I was rewatching them and I'm like, fuck, this is fascinating. Like
Yeah.
what all went into
Well,
this.
I'm glad you did that because like James and I have already covered TC, the first TCM in our very first episode. So I'm anxious to see how many new things we can add to that because I feel like even though we covered a lot of ground, it probably didn't scratch the surface of all of it.
I'll be honest. I'm focused entirely on the second one because we already did the
Yeah,
first
me
one.
too.
And the only thing I had to contribute was the blood thing. That's it for the
Yeah.
first one.
Oh, there is blood. Cool. Now I can
Yeah,
chime
the
in.
idea that he was going for a PG rating, I didn't realize
It
that. I
says,
know he did.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, he there's the least bloody horror films of all time because he intended to make it for a PG rating, keeping violence moderate, language mild, excluding nudity entirely, and having most of the horror implied off-screen rather than shown in detail on-screen, but it backfired, made the film more horrifying, and the ratings board
Yeah.
insisted on an X rating. So they had to fight to give it an R rating, and that's when he finally just gave up and said, all right, we'll release it with an R rating.
Yeah, and what's
Wow.
funny is that the whole time that he was making the movie, he was in contact with the MPAA and being like, "Hey," because they couldn't tell him what to do, but he could push them far enough with like, "What if I did this? What if I did this? What if I did this?" to like whittle it down based off of their reactions to make it just as PG as possible, and it's still fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So terrible.
Yeah.
But it's also funny because Poltergeist, another Tobe Hooper movie, is PG. And a dude
Yeah.
peels his face off in that one.
Right.
And
then
weirdly,
Jaws is
it
PG.
feels more PG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
still just like feels PG. So this is like a ghost story. This guy's beating people to death with a hammer and chopping
Yeah.
people up with a chainsaw. And then you watch it again, you're like, oh, but we're not actually seeing any of that. We just kind of,
Well,
Right.
to be fair, neither of those movies would be PG today.
no, definitely
No.
not.
Poltergeist is not. Jaws for sure isn't.
Poltergeist would be PG-13. I think Jaws might push R today just because of the opening sequence. Like she's
either. Right.
Yeah.
nude
Well,
in
they
the
didn't
water.
have an R rating when
Right.
one when Jaws was made, and two, I can't. What year was Poltergeist?
Well, they had R. They didn't have PG-13. Poltergeist was 80. Fuck, I should. know
That's right.
this.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't.
I
have
want to say
PG-13.
82.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So I think
That's
that
my
even that was
guess.
before. I think that was before PG-13.
yeah, they were both before PG-13. PG-13
Yeah.
came with
Yeah.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
So-
that's
Yeah.
that's right.
Accurate.
Poltergeist is 82.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah. Gotcha.
but still,
You're welcome, guys.
it's funny that just a few years prior, Tobe Hooper made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they're like, "This is
Yeah, it's-
X-rated," and he was like, "This shit could air on like
Yeah.
television. What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Well, it's crazy
has,
'cause-
Toby.
have any
Wasn't-
of you ever seen Texas Chainsaw on TV? Has that happened?
No. Not
Oh.
outside of like
Well,
AMC
on like
horror
normal.
where-
Yeah,
No.
not like
I can't
No.
remember. I'm sure I saw it on like TNT or USA or something when I was a kid.
that's
if they were
you
doing
know,
something like that,
on
but
Monster Vision or something.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
remember it.
kind of not counting Monster Vision, but
Yeah. Outside of that, no.
no, because
No.
they never showed it for like the USA marathons or anything.
No, it was always Friday and
Yeah.
and Halloween and
It's
stuff like
kind
that.
of. Was he just unaware of just how fucked that movie was when
Yeah.
he was making it?
because he was
It's
going
crazy.
for a black comedy, which is why part 2 is what it is. Because he
Right.
was
He
like,
really
the
leaned
movie
into
came out and he
it,
was like, none
yeah.
of you think this is funny? This is supposed to be a comedy. It's like, nah, man, I can't fucking sleep now. Like, thank you.
But what's also funny, because I just got to watching, I think it's just a compilation of all the like special features from the DVD. But there was a thing that they filmed it, or they showed Canon the original cut of 2, and they laughed the entire time, and he was like, oh shit. Like, you're not supposed to laugh the entire time. Like,
Whoops.
Yeah.
Of part 2?
yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Because
Yeah.
I mean, not to jump around too much, but when I went back, I'm always so divided on part 2, because I guess it totally depends on my mood and what headspace I'm in. Because as much as I love Stretch, she's awesome, but her screaming, just, it's so much.
Yeah.
It's
You have
so much.
I think we've
But-
talked about this before. You have
Yeah.
the same reaction to her that I do for
Yeah,
Leatherface
Temple
and
of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Well,
Yeah.
ironically, Temple of Doom.
Right. And I watched it a couple years ago, and while I was putting up my room, when I moved into this room, I threw it on, and halfway through it, I was like, okay, I fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I had to stop it and put something else in, because all I hear in the background is just
She's
And-
perfect with context. If you're not
Right.
looking at what's
Right.
going, like, because there's so much visually in that movie
Yeah.
that if you're not looking at it, you're not getting the full experience. You're
Right.
just getting screaming.
Yeah, but this time I watched it and it wasn't as bad, but it's kind of interesting to think about why he chose to make that movie the way he did, because it is so drastically different from the first one.
I
It's
have
a
huge
some
departure.
answers for that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a departure from the first one.
Right.
One of my notes was, it's like, we just finished Nightmare, so you take Nightmare 1 and then Nightmare 2, total, and you can see the departure from that. Same thing with Halloween and Halloween 2, and then it's the same thing with TCM 1 and TCM 2, but TCM 2 it's the same director, so it's his choice to take all of that and push it in a different direction.
He specifically got a different writer. His name is L.M. Kit Carson.
I think so. Yeah,
crazy name.
Right.
Because Kit Carson is Kit Carson, so I'm like, who the hell
Yeah.
is this guy? But apparently he's done a lot of good like scripts and stuff. But Tobe wanted it to be weird and like way weirder than the first one, and they were both like, if we're gonna do a second Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it has to be not the complete opposite of the first one, but if that one is gonna be extreme and terrifying way, and blow people's minds that way, then their approach to it was, we need to blow people's minds in a different way.
Which makes sense.
Which really backfired at the time, right? I mean, that wasn't well received
Well,
because
it wasn't
people
well
expect
received by people wanted the
Yeah.
first one, and then
Right.
over time it's grown a cult following.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I think it's a better movie. It's so
I think
weird. The other thing is that
as
the studio
campy movies,
completely fucking fucked up.
Yeah, and as more campy 80s horror came out, I think more people went back and they were like, oh, okay, I'm used to this kind of movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the time, though, you could see why
Oh,
people
yeah.
who would be pissed or just like,
Yeah.
what the hell did you do
Yeah.
to this these
And it's
characters?
also, to be fair though, I kind of see the point of like, what would a second one be if it was the exact? I mean, we kind of saw it with the remake, sort of, but that at least had that the remake and not the remake so much, but the beginning. That one, you can see them being like, okay, let's do the same movie, but here's a different angle. Whereas in the 80s, it just would have been the next set of killings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
it would have just been like another family stumbles upon the house and then the same
Yeah.
shit happens. Or
For sure.
if they could do the Halloween 2 thing and be like, it picks up immediately after the first one left off, and the truck she got into
Right.
happens to break down and Leatherface catches up, but now it's just something different. Like,
Right.
That
She
would
just
be
gets
wild.
dragged back to the.
They could have went
She
to
gets dragged
space.
back to the
There you
farmhouse
go.
and it's just martyrs for 2 hours.
Leatherface hasn't gone to space yet. That's one of the few franchises that hasn't taken them
Yeah.
to outer space yet.
Could have gone to New York.
There you
You
go.
know what? He
Yeah.
can't. You know why he can't keep.
New York
He's really
Chainsaw
bad
Massacre.
at keeping the helmet on.
That's true.
Right.
I remember I feel like we did, I I can't remember how I saw this one because I do not remember watching the third one at all, but I do remember seeing the parts of the fourth one. So I'm wondering if this was a marathon I did as a kid, but I remember watching this when I was much younger as part of like a overnight slumber party type thing where we rented a bunch of horror movies.
Wait, fourth one being Next Generation?
Yeah. And we watched the second one, and I remember when the dude's head got split in half, and it was like the shitty little like squibs just squirting blood out. And I was like, oh, this movie's dumb. Like, these special effects are bad. And then it just got more and more ridiculous. And I was like, this isn't scary. This is like silly. What the fuck is this? And I just remember it being bad for years. And then I went back to watch it, and I was like, what a fucking idiot I was. This movie's incredible.
So you saw the first one first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, this is one. It was Friday or Freddy's Dead, and this were the two first horror movies that I really like saw.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
And then, I mean,
my first one was
tell?
Next Generation because I caught it on HBO.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Right when that came out, I think 94, 95.
Yeah.
So I was 9 or 10.
Gotcha.
So that was but that's what this.
You saw McConaughey, and you were like, this guy's going places.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's amazing. But like, what's so interesting is, even though I didn't know what those movies were, but I knew what the title was, and I knew who Leatherface was. So it's just one of those funny things that permeates into society, even at age 10.
Yeah.
So I was horrified to watch it. And then I was like, what the fuck is this?
Goofy.
Yeah.
I love it now, but yeah, at the time I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then when I watched the original, I was like, Jesus, fuck this.
Yeah.
Because I watched 2 at a friend's birthday party where I didn't really know anybody. It was weird. It was a weird day. But like they put on Texas Chainsaw 2, and that was the whole point of the day for me at that point. Like, I just zoned in on it. And then eventually when I saw the first one, I was like, oh fucking K. I understand now. Like, I look at it like the first one is pretty realistic. Like that could happen. That's why it's good, right? The second one is it's the first one is Texas Chainsaw is taking place in our reality. The second one is we are taking place in Texas Chainsaw reality.
I like that.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it is a fucking alternate reality fever dream where like it's just like everyone knows that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre happened in that movie, right? Because like even the chainsaw seller guy like looks at him like, you're gonna go get them motherfucking Leatherfaces, ain't you?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Like he's like Hopper's like swinging the shit. So it's like they know it's real. It's just a fucking thing that they've lived with. Whereas the first one
a lot of them in the second one are related in the first one, right? Like Dennis Hopper's supposed to be the
Franklin's uncle.
Franklin's uncle.
Franklin's uncle, and apparently it was cut out that, and I'm kind of glad that they cut this out, that he's supposed to be Stretch's dad, apparently.
Yeah.
And like,
what?
Yeah.
So Stretch
about
and
the
Franklin
studio
are related?
Yeah.
But it was cut out.
I guess, yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Wow.
Franklin's uncle and her dad, or Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but yeah,
she
I
was
guess
Franklin's cousin.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Which is a bit
That's
of a stretch.
interesting.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
This fucking
Sorry.
guy.
If we weren't only 17 minutes in, I'd be like, call it right there. There we go.
Yep, we're good. All right, guys. So we barely talked about Texas 1. We barely talked
and
about
also-
Texas 2.
Wrap
Good
it up.
times.
Isn't Mosley Chop Top? Isn't he supposed to be the twin brother of the Hitchhiker?
Nubbins, yeah. And then
Yeah.
Nubbins is the corpse that they're carrying around.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The hitchhiker's
The
name
hitchhiker
is
from the first one,
Nubbins?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is Nubbins.
Nubbins,
Mhm.
yeah.
Nubbins.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of with you on that one. And that, like, I
If
don't
you
know
say
if
it
I
5 or
if
6
I,
more times, it might make sense, but I don't think
let's
so.
keep going. Justin, what is it?
No, I'm not going to do it on cue. I thought that he was just credited as the hitchhiker.
In the first one, I think he is.
See,
yeah.
that's the
And then in the
first
second one,
they
it's
didn't have names in
alluded
the
that the
first
corpse they're carrying around, like on the truck with Leatherface and on the table and everything, is supposed to be that hitchhiker from the first movie. And you don't hear his name until the end when Grandpa, or what's the dad's name? Or whatever. Cook pulls him under the table and he's like, "Come here, Nubbins," and he pulls a grenade off of his belt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's again
See,
like that.
It doesn't work for me that it always worked for me better that Chop Top just is the fucking hitchhiker. The hitchhiker went to Vietnam and came back, and now he's fucking Chop Top.
Okay. Yeah. We can.
Although he doesn't have the fucking face thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And Vietnam happened before the first movie.
Well, I mean, maybe he was just.
This isn't a history lesson, Derek.
You know what?
It'd be weird that he didn't have
you know what?
and all that.
You know what? We're fighting now. It's a fight now. Fucking ruin my fucking chronological bullshit.
I always do this dumb shit when I'm watching these movies and I'm just going through Letterboxd and seeing what a lot of these actors have acted in as well. And I stumbled upon something funny, I thought. So Edwin Neal is a guy who plays a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Larroquette, the guy that narrates in the beginning.
Yeah.
They were both in JFK. Oliver Stone's JFK.
Wow. Derek, you know who John Larroquette is, right?
Not too familiar, no.
Oh,
really?
Okay. Wasn't he in?
He was in
Night Court, right?
Yeah. Night Court. Yeah.
Yeah. Still on Night Court because they did the revamp or whatever that's on right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be honest, I didn't realize he was still alive.
Me neither.
Yeah. Night Court has just like restarted on NBC. I think they just renewed it because apparently it's very successful. But yeah, they did a reboot of Night Court.
That's wild.
John Larroquette said he was paid to narrate the first movie with one marijuana joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what Toby gave him in exchange to narrate the movie. Yeah,
dude,
that's so funny. Yeah, but going back to the differences between 1 and 2, I am starting to appreciate 2 more as I get older.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, kind of like what you were saying a minute ago, James. Like, what the fuck would you do? Like, if you're tasked with, hey, I just made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially in the 70s, and then go, shit, what do I do with it now?
Like 12 years later, right?
Yeah. And it's like, you can't, nothing will live up to it. You have to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I guess I didn't consider that. I definitely liked it. I enjoyed it. I wish Leatherface was a little less horny.
Yeah,
that's a little weird.
To go to what James just said, fever dream.
Yeah.
Like, now it makes all the sense.
Right.
I kind of get where they so in the documentary stuff they said that it was supposed to be a love story, and like maybe in Leatherface's head, but also it's like, you guys, I feel like I reverse engineered it in my head and was like, you guys wanted a really tense moment. And you were like, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen to Stretch chainsaw to the vagina, right? That's the worst.
Right.
How do we get to that point?
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, this is a lot of leaps. And I get that, like, okay, he's a child in the body of an adult. So like, he hasn't had sex, at least not that he knows of. I'm certain he hasn't experienced love from that family. So I get that he would potentially have a connection with her, but the steps it takes to get to that point, because it's like, well, how do we get the chainsaw to her vagina without it being on in the first place? And that's where the steps come in, because how do you stop Leatherface from leatherfacing everywhere?
Yeah.
Long and it's a mess.
It was off-putting to me too to hear the first time them call him Leatherface.
Really?
Like, oh. Yeah. God, they don't call him that in the first. They don't call him anything in the first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So I don't think that name got established. And I don't know. Is he casted as Leatherface in the first one? Is it listed as? I didn't notice. I didn't take note of that.
That's a good question.
Oh, that is a good question. I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Guy with chainsaw.
Yeah.
He's just listed as Massacre.
I'm curious in the actual
Massacre.
Massacre.
I mean, he's credited as Leatherface on IMDb, but I don't know if that's how it's listed on the actual film credits
on the movie. Yeah,
I did love that the opening credits were just producer/director Tobe Hooper, and that was it, which is like a weird thing because nowadays you see a Tobe Hooper film at the beginning and then directed by Tobe Hooper at the end of the credits, but this was just like producer/director, like just another crew member.
Yeah,
right.
That is wild.
One of the other kind of a side note here, but something you guys probably already knew was how fucking miserable the filming was for this movie, where they said like a
For the
lot of the
first
shit
one?
that
Yeah.
happened in the dinner scene and everything was just them literally going crazy on the set because of
Yeah.
how
And that's
hot and
amazing.
miserable it was. Yeah, they said Gunnar only had one shirt, and because it was dyed for the movie, they couldn't wash it. And by the end of
Yikes.
filming, he had to wear it for 4 straight weeks of filming in the hot, humid Texas summer. And by the end of the shoot, no one would stand near him or sit next to him during breaks or eat with him or anything because he smelled so bad.
It probably helped the character.
Yeah,
probably.
Speaking of, he also said that he did not get along with the actor who played Franklin at all, and was wondering what it was. He's like, why is this guy being such a dick to me? And then when they met later after the film had released, the actor who played Franklin was like, oh, I'm a method actor, so I was in character.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
I remember reading or seeing something where like no one got along with him.
Yeah.
Everyone fucking hated him because he just didn't stop being Franklin.
That would drive me fucking
Yeah, dude.
crazy.
He's
Yeah.
I love
Paul
I love
Partain,
the
it is.
Yeah. I love the concept of him. I just hate him. And honestly, I don't really love I don't like any of the kids in the first one, honestly.
Yeah. Same.
Because they're all kind of really I mean, at first they're fine, and then they get to the farmhouse, and she's a dick to her brother. He's a dick to his sister. The boyfriends are both kind of dicks to the girlfriends. No one gives a fuck about fucking like land rights. Everybody's just like, I'm gonna go in wherever the fuck I want to go. And it's like, man, I know we had this exact same conversation before, but God, they're so entitled.
I get it. It's hot, and you're in a van with no AC.
Yeah.
You're gonna be just gonna be a dick.
We've been in a fucked up van with no AC, in the Texas heat, sun
in July.
And it does something to you, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's awful. I think one of my worst. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
No, good.
I was just gonna say real quick that one of my worst life experiences is when we had a day off between Houston and Dallas, and we were like, "Hey, let's go to Galveston." Why anybody would say, "Hey, let's go to Galveston, Texas,"
especially Galveston Beach.
So we were like, "Yeah, it's like a little right there at the Gulf." So we went down to Galveston, and the band that we were touring with, they were like, "Hey, there's a ferry. We could go on the ferry, go off to the island, whatever, go to the beach." And we were like, "Okay, cool. That sounds like fun." But as like you drive your car onto the ferry, and then you have to sit there for a while they get everything ready. You can't get out and wander around. So we sat in a van with no AC, with like just 2 windows.
A dark blue van, by the way. Dark blue. That's important.
And sat there for, I think it was like 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the middle of July in Texas. And I remember sitting there, and everybody's phone starts going off because it was too hot. And and you can't get out of your car. Like they'll yell at you if you got out of the car. And I sat there and
couldn't like roll down the windows or anything at least.
It's a cargo van. Like there's only 2 windows, or the 2 windows up front. And I remember
think the side one's opened a little bit.
Yeah, there's no breeze.
You can't get a draft. Yeah,
there's no breeze. No. Yeah, and like I remember sitting there staring at my hands. And I was like, if I move, I'm gonna burst into tears because I'm so fucking hot. I would rather die right now than to be here in this spot.
Oof.
So then imagine what that feels like. But then you have to make a trip with Franklin. I'd kill him.
Yeah,
I'd kill him.
Yeah.
Right
I'd be looking for shelter. I'd have murdered him myself.
Yeah, drove that fucking van right off the road.
Is this motherfucker chewing a sausage like a cigar?
Yeah.
Throw him out.
Yeah. Fuck Texas.
Well, that's that. We could do a whole other podcast about just fuck Texas. No, I was just trying. I'm like going through all the other notes that we already know.
Podcast.
What was the? Apparently, according to Edwin Neal, Texas state troopers shook his hand and thanked him for causing crime to drop 18% because audiences took the message as "Don't pick up hitchhikers."
Holy shit!
Honestly, yeah.
Which is wild because it is wild how popular that was back then.
Oh,
It
I
is-
I was
also
wondering
wild how-
this time how much this movie affected the decline of hitchhiking.
Yeah.
wow.
Like, it had to have.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Like the repercussions of that. Because I mean, I know this
Yeah.
movie. Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Because back
What-
in the 60s and 70s, I mean, people traveled across the entire country.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
dude, they
Oh, yeah.
disappeared all over the place.
My dad hitchhiked across East Coast to West Coast in Canada, just hitchhiking when he was like 17 or something like that.
Damn.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if Canada was just more safe.
Oh.
No, everyone
be,
did it
right?
down here too. Everyone was
Well,
hitchhiking.
no,
back then.
like I wonder if it was just legitimately more safe to hitchhike in Canada.
Right. I don't know.
Maybe it was just
Probably.
less sketchy.
I mean, it's got to be
a lot
less
less
serial
people.
killers, right?
Yeah.
I would think.
Not as hot as Texas, at least.
It's not as hot as that. I do think that the heat causes
cold
some
as
shit.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's way more places to hide a body in Canada.
This is also
Yeah,
true.
dude.
So you would
Yeah.
think that there would be more serial killers because, like, you could just
Maybe there are.
And-
you just don't know
maybe-
about
yeah,
them.
maybe.
Plus, I mean,
gonna
think
hide
about
it.
it. It's so cold. You gotta do like heavy body work.
They're
and
also
we all know
polite, you
killing-
don't suspect
killing a
them.
person's. Yeah.
Yeah,
You kill people to keep your body heat down. You're just real nice about it.
Yeah, I just realized my shirt.
Yeah.
yeah, you get so many grizzly bears, you could just hack up a body and just kind of put it out in the woods.
Dude, that's like Florida. How many bodies do you think were thrown in the Everglades?
Oh,
yeah.
Did that all day in the 70s and 80s.
You know what? I got curious yesterday, the day before. I was like, how many alligators are there in this state? There's
it's a lot.
estimated 1.25 million alligators.
That's a lot. That's
in
why I don't think you
Florida.
need tags for
They're
hunting
hungry.
them. Don't they want you to hunt them, don't they? Because it's just overpopulated.
I'm pretty sure
pretty
they
sure.
should.
Yeah.
I thought that was or at least in some cases when it gets overpopulation gets out of control, I think they just kind of like encourage it. And I don't think you need tags. I could be speaking completely out of my ass.
Yeah, I don't know enough about hunting
Yeah.
gators.
We'll
To
find out
to
when you go
comment
back
on that.
tomorrow. Ask around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah.
Just go up to a cop and be like, "Hey, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the
is it cool if I just go shoot a gator?"
Yeah.
Be like, is it true that you can just like kill gators here? Be like, sir, I just asked if you wanted ginger ale or this isn't even my home port. Like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
But
fuck Texas.
It's funny.
Yeah, fuck hitchhiking.
The first one I've seen, I don't know how many times. I've watched the first one a lot.
Same.
But this is the first time that I've noted how clean the outside of the house is. Like it's in relatively good shape, and it seems
Yeah.
like it
The
just
inside.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Definitely compared to the inside. But yeah, just like surprisingly decent shape, and like the lawn looks like it was just mowed like a week ago.
Well, and I mean,
like those things, those little details always makes me feel like there's got to be some kind of dumb horror comedy to be made of just these people that like mowing the lawn and doing mundane tasks.
There's like
just
no, they forgot that they had auto pay set, and the person who
Right.
shows up on the first of every month to do the landscaping and wash the windows and everything just shows up, and they're like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "I don't know. I haven't seen this family in like years, but the payment clears every month, so I come and I clean up the outside, and then we go."
right.
So I know the house is real dirty on the inside, but the one thing you have to say is it's got good bones.
Come on,
This guy.
fuck you. No.
Did you ask ChatGPT before this podcast? Give me good jokes.
Yeah, give me good
Wow,
Texas jokes.
you think that ChatGPT could find such gold?
ChatGPT would not come up with that.
ChatGPT would come up with something much better.
I like to imagine the family.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that
it was
pretty
very
good.
solid.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so mad.
We didn't give you the reaction it deserved. That was good.
James knows.
Yeah.
I know.
He
He
knows.
does.
He
He
doesn't
does.
need your validation.
Yeah.
I like to also imagine it's the outside is so clean and well maintained because the family knows like we can't arouse suspicion
Right.
among bystanders
Right.
or people that drive by. So this part's important. Once they get through the front door,
Yeah.
we're gonna fucking kill them anyway. So the
Yeah.
inside
Well,
of the
front
house can look
hall-
however
you know
we
what?
want.
That's a honestly a
Yeah.
pretty good point because the front hallway pretty normal
Yeah.
Yeah.
until
totally
you get to
right.
the fucking slidey door room. Once you hit the slidey door room, you're
Yeah.
fucked. So
You don't want any of the neighbors to have a bone to pick with them. I went for it.
High five.
I
High
went
five,
for it.
Derek. High
Although I
five,
do like
Derek.
a slidey door room. Is that you don't find a house with a slidey door room anymore these days?
No.
You can't. You
Yeah.
That
can't.
was
It's
totally
extra.
custom.
You got to pay.
That was
You
a
got to pay
custom
extra for a
slidey
slidey door room
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
Totally custom.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
what
one of
we
the
have
cooler
Florida
scenes
rooms in
the
Texas.
movie.
We have slidey
Yeah.
door rooms, or we have Florida rooms in Florida. We have slidey door rooms in Texas.
Slidey
Yeah.
door
Yeah.
rooms in Texas.
Yeah.
It is definitely
But
one
yeah.
of the better scenes. Like the slam of the door is so just
That's
like
when you
chilling.
know shit like is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that movie is different. Like before
there's-
that, I guess I didn't get a chance to watch it for this, but that happens after they pick up the hitchhiker, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
wait for-
hitchhiker gets out before they even get to the store.
That's
They
right.
kick the
Yeah.
hitchhiker
Yeah.
out, and then they go. And what I'm noticing this time, and I've probably noticed it before, but this time I have words for it, is that the whole movie is so drab until you see that fucking wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that wall is so it's iconic. Like what other wall can you think of that's as iconic as that specific wall?
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's weird.
like it's perfect. And it's absolutely like it's a literal red flag. Like
Yeah.
like if I walked
Yeah.
into a house, well, if I walked into a house and saw that, I'd be like, that's sick. But if as a normal person, I walked into a house and saw that, I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I'm
why
out.
would I
Yeah.
do this? Why am I
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Well, that scene's nuts. Well, the lead up, right, with the
Yeah.
as she's walking into the house and the camera, which does not seem like a low budget film. That
No,
shot
right?
is so
No.
cool. It's
So
such an
good.
awesome shot.
And even watching it this time, that shot sticks out from the whole rest of the movie.
Oh, 100%.
It's
It really
so
does.
like
Yeah.
it just you
Yeah.
feel like for a moment you've gone into a more modern movie.
It's like, what the hell
Yeah.
did you just learn? Like,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they just like they were like,
become
oh, I got
an amazing
and-
director
yeah.
out of nowhere.
It's like, let's try
Right?
that
And that's
shot.
the thing,
And-
right?
yeah.
It's like just total experimentation, and they're like, oh well,
Yeah.
now that shot's been used how many times? I'm pretty sure it's
Right.
in
Yeah.
X and Maxine
Mhm.
and all those like
Yeah.
like
It's all over the place.
yeah.
It's in it's in Cabin Fever. It's referenced at fucking
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a good shot.
Well, I think a cool thing about that scene too is, he kills Kirk with the hammer to the head.
Mhm.
And that's not where the scene really hits. It is the slamming of the sliding
Yeah.
door. That's where
Yeah.
then the sound of that door too. There's this ominous, just
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
a wild sound. I watched a talk that Gunnar gave in 2015. There was an interview, and he was talking specifically about that scene. And he was saying in the script, he wasn't supposed to slam the door. It was just he was just supposed to shut it. That was just him amped up in that scene, and he slammed the hell out of it. And what he was saying was it was such a shitty built door, and it was super light.
Yeah.
And when you would slam it, it would just swing right back open. But in that scene, because it was built so just not well, and he slammed it, and it got jammed. And in the scene, it made it look like it was a heavy door because
Yeah.
it's
That's awesome.
like jammed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then
So lucky.
what was the guy's name that did the sound? Wayne Bell. So Wayne Bell's the sound designer. He's also the guy that he was the boom operator.
Mhm.
He's also the guy that composed the score. But he's the one, and Gunnar was giving him a lot of the credit for just the impact that scene has, because he came up with an awesome sound for the door hitting.
Yeah.
And then he was explaining this ominous sound that just kind of extends after that scene goes into the next. And he said in theaters when they were first, screening this movie, audiences, it's the door slam where everyone's like, oh fuck. Because the first kill is the hammer. And
Right.
when there's a
Yeah.
first kill, everyone's like, oh, and then the door slams and everyone was quiet and they were like,
Yeah,
oh,
because it goes
shit.
from like, oh fuck, to instantly like, oh, we're not
Yeah.
supposed to be happy right now.
Well,
Yeah.
the way Gunnar explained it was first kill, like, oh, that guy's fucked. And then door shuts, oh, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like
Yeah.
now we're all doomed.
Yeah.
And it's
that-
I can only imagine watching that movie for the first time, but
Right.
every time that I watch it, knowing what the movie is, the opening scene of the totem that they make,
Yeah.
with the opening sound.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and the news broadcasts and stuff. And it's just like, oh, it's just a simple shot of just going around this fucked up statue thing that they made. That in itself is like, what the fuck am I getting ready to watch?
It's a disturbing opening scene.
And it's filmed like not a horror movie. It's filmed like it's a piece of occult like shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
But
like,
what's interesting or how well they did that is that scene, and then you kind of forget about it until that door slam is such a like it's like a switch that gets flipped, and you're like, oh man, like this is different.
Yeah. The first one uses boredom in a really interesting way.
Yeah, it uses the desolation that you feel in that environment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Well, then the scene after that, right? Isn't that when he hooks Pam?
Yeah.
He puts
the
Pam
next
up
one.
on the
Fucking,
hook.
she comes in and then she runs out, and that's another one of the most iconic scenes ever. Right. He's just pulling
her up and pulls her back.
It's so fucking like so good.
There's something so weird about that scene because there's no sound when he puts her on the hook.
Right.
It's very weird.
It's
today, in today's like there'd be a Foley artist like
like pushing Jello from a pillowcase or some shit. Yeah,
and you know what's interesting about that? I've never really thought about that in that context, because when I've noticed the silence, but I've just always kind of equated that to if that were to happen to you when you're just like impaled by a fucking meat hook. The way she plays that is so like filled with shock and like what?
Yeah.
And that not having any sound effects there makes that resonate even more.
Yeah.
Or the impact
it amplifies her performance for sure.
Well, and it wouldn't.
So
make
otherwise,
a
it'd be
loud
like
noise if it happened. Yeah, like in real life, it wouldn't make a loud noise. It would just pass through the
I think it would make a noise.
I mean,
it would make a noise.
But if she's screaming and writhing and stuff, I don't think we would be able to really hear it. I think it would be more silly if they had a Foley artist.
Derek wants an ASMR mic next to the hook next time.
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I actually like that it doesn't. And it's funny to bring this up. Justin, you and I recorded an episode on my old podcast like 4 years ago. And I remember we were talking about that scene. And I remember we were talking exactly about this. And I remember what we were saying is exactly this. It's just, it makes it almost more disturbing of just this
like, for sure.
lack of sound and
absolutely.
Which I guess you can, having it in mind that that Hooper wanted to make this a PG movie, and we're not going to do this. We're not going to do that.
That's what I was thinking. Is it may very well have been either he or the MPAA was like, lose the sound.
Maybe
because that'll make it too gross.
Yeah,
but interesting.
Yeah,
it's funny because the complete lack of sound makes it so like
makes it worse.
It makes it way worse because also on top of everything we just said, it's the complete lack of resistance. He's so fucking strong, and it's a fucking hook.
Yeah. He just like sets her on it. It's not like he had to like plant her on it.
There's no struggle whatsoever, really.
Here, hold on.
I think we're so used to just movies nowadays, they really overdo the audio, and in times I don't want to say that in a critical way, like I don't think that but there's a lot of attention to detail, and it's much bigger than real life, right?
Absolutely.
Even if that wouldn't make a big sound, they'll make it make a big sound today in a movie because it does something to the audience, right? Which back then they definitely weren't doing that. It was way more subdued. So I wonder if it was a creative choice of not having it, or like you're saying, the studio's like, hey, that's kind of gross. Like, let's just not put sound there.
I could definitely see either one of those for this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because does he? I don't know. I just watched it like 2 days ago. But when Leatherface drops the chainsaw on his leg, does that make a sound, or is it just the chainsaw buzzing?
No, the chainsaw's running.
It's just a sound. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just the chainsaw sound.
Yeah, but to your point of that question. Today, that would have been super wet, but a chainsaw is so loud that you would never hear anything.
No, again,
like meat getting cut up like that. Yeah.
Again, you got to have the ASMR mic next to the leg getting cut up.
Yeah.
Got to get all that squishy goodness.
Squishy goodness. Other fun fact I had written down was that Sally was covered in her own blood for a lot of that sequence because she cut herself real bad while filming the chase with Leatherface. So apparently they had a stunt double do most of her like jumping through the window, but she cut herself filming the landing, which was supposed to be not a major stunt.
Fucking
and then
irony.
as he's chasing her through the brush or whatever, and she's covered in blood, a lot of that is her own blood because she hurt herself pretty bad.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
She get cut on the glass?
I guess, yeah. There's not not a whole lot of detail behind it. It just says that a lot of that blood is actually her own. And Tobe used a stunt double for her leap through the window, but Marilyn Burns hurt herself shooting the insert of her falling to the ground.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's great.
I will never get over that leap through the window.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so
like
fuck this.
Yeah.
It's because I've never been like, yeah, I'll jump through a window, but but thankfully,
I don't know, man. I had some classes in school. I definitely thought about it.
But she, like, the way it's just like no hesitation, just boom out the fucking window is so good.
I will say, having watched this movie so many fucking times, like most of the tension is gone in the later half of the movie, and I really focused in on how ridiculous her going through that fucking like bramble bush or whatever the fuck it was for 5 minutes, and he has a chainsaw. Like, obviously he doesn't have the blade on it for the movie, so he's just breaking twigs and shit. But like, I wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have gotten away with it that long.
They talk about that too. That's okay. So apparently that's where she cut herself the worst, was on the branches while he's chasing her through the undergrowth. So a lot of the blood on her body and clothes after that is real. Even with his like boot lifts in, he could still keep up with her. Yeah. Even in his weird boots, he could run faster than her. So he had to do random things while chasing her to not catch up. And if you look closely, you'll notice in one head-on shot that he just starts slicing up tree branches in the background. So that's exactly what he
fits.
said. Yeah,
that fits with the character.
Yeah, he can be like, oh shit, I forgot to take this one. Needs some landscaping while I'm out here.
I think just the random weird psychotic behavior. Fits.
Well, I mean, it's your typical prune and chase situation. You know, you chase a little, you prune a little, you chase a little, you prune a little. Yeah.
Typical prune and chase.
Typical prune and chase.
Oh man, ADHD to the max. I forgot about this fucking twig.
Yeah.
Like, the dinner scene though, like I'm with you, James, because this is that movie is so weird because it's one of those ones where you could watch with a bunch of people and kind of look at it as like a crazy, I don't consider that really a slasher, but just a crazy movie.
Yeah.
Or it's
a slice of life movie about a family in Texas.
Or you can just adjust your perspective just a little bit and watch it, and you're like, wow, this is the most terrifying movie ever fucking made.
Yeah.
But even though a lot of the tension, depending on what mood I'm in to watch it, no matter if I'm just watching it because I love this movie, and I don't want to pay attention to how fucked up it is, the minute that you get to the dinner table scene, that entire stretch is so fucking horrific.
Yeah. You can feel how fucked the atmosphere was for the filmmaker.
Yeah. It goes on so uncomfortably long and starts off fucked up and just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then when Grandpa starts trying to suck her fingers.
What's the deal with Grandpa? Like, what's that guy's deal?
I mean, he's just old.
He's just an old man.
No.
Dirty old man.
Just an old man. There's something. No.
He's just hanging out in an attic, man.
Yeah. Is he not a fucking zombie?
Would you not do anything for your family, Derek?
Yeah.
Would you rather they put him in a home?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Derek.
Obviously, they're not very wealthy. They're doing what they can.
And he makes it another 12 years.
Yeah. Or maybe he is very wealthy and they're just all trying to weasel their way into the will to make sure that
that's right. Yeah.
Like, which one of us is going to get the house? I'm the one that fed you this girl's like bloody finger, so remember me later.
In the first one, he has some kind of mask on, right? That's not makeup. It's some kind of mask.
I
Looks
think it's like appliances and stuff.
Yeah.
Because the second one's clearly makeup. It's not a mask in the second one.
No.
Yeah, they said that scene was 27-hour shot.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
They actually...
It was like a 5-minute scene.
Yeah, after so many takes, they... Gunnar Hansen said we all had just gone legitimately crazy. So in that scene, none of us are acting anymore. What you see on screen is literally how we felt after 27 hours in 110-degree heat.
Wow.
In dirty, like caked on clothes, these masks and appliances. And he just cut Marilyn's finger for real after like 5 or 6 takes and just didn't give a shit. And it was... So I'm like, I'm reading these and I was like, okay, so she literally injured herself, like pretending to jump out a window, tore herself up running through the woods, and then her co-star's like, I'm sick of this shit, and just cut her finger open instead of using, because I guess the tube that was supposed to pump the blood kept clogging or fucking up on the take, and he just got mad and cut her. And I'm like, you can't do that, man.
No, that's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not
And
cool.
then have some old dude just
he said
suck
they had
it.
all just gone crazy.
That's 27 fucking hours.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. Well, I did see Gunnar was saying that last scene, the dance with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't scripted either. That was improvised by him. They basically were. Tobe was just like, "Hey, at this point, like you're just super pissed.
Yeah.
She got away. Like action." And then he just did that. And he said while he was doing it, he's like, God, this must look so fucking dumb. Like I don't know. And he said he couldn't see really well out of the mask. So it gets super close to the camera. And so like it scared Tobe a bit when he was like, as he was getting close with it. And then he just chucks the chainsaw. And he was saying that was literally me. Like, we need to end this fucking movie. Like I'm done. He just like threw it.
Damn.
He's like, I just want to stop making this movie now.
Yeah. Edwin Neal, who played the hitchhiker, did actually serve in Vietnam and said that making Texas Chainsaw Massacre was more miserable than his time in Vietnam. And if he ever saw Tobe Hooper again, he might kill him.
Oh, so that's why he's not in the second one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is probably why Tobe was like, all right, you're going to be a corpse in the sequel then. Like, I don't need you back.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You're Nubbins now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're
why.
Nubbins. I'm going to give you a weird name and kill you off.
Yeah.
And also now you're a puppet.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sequel's
That's
so
a good
fun
one
though.
at that.
Yeah,
it is.
That is really crazy to think about just how like horrific that set was and to make that. But I know it's James and I had the same conversation on the last one, but it just bears repeating. Like that movie, it's one of the, like there's Psycho, there's Jaws, there's Halloween, there's this one where it's like you can pinpoint throughout history of like pivotal moments where like cinema changed.
Yeah.
Where especially back then, I mean, I know there was a lot of films that came out where it was like it was breaking new ground. But for this one, like I can't imagine seeing that for the first time in the 70s, having grown up in like the 50s and the 60s, and then all of a sudden, this is what I'm fucking watching. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But even more so, like to make it.
Right.
That in itself is even harder to wrap your head around, of going, this is what I want to make, and this is what I set out to make.
Yeah.
That's just it always makes me wonder, like, are we going to see, I know we've had this conversation before, but like, are we going to see another version of that today, or have we seen all of it?
I think we have to just be, I don't know. I think that we
Like,
have
what
to,
would have
due to
even
the
been?
nature of the industry. Like the industry's so against
I just think
independent movies now that like,
Yeah.
like the big, I don't mean like the streaming services, but I mean like a
Yeah.
lot of the like I feel like we're seeing a lot more independent horror coming out, and that's just how it's going to be. It's like
The numbers that Terrifier 2 put up in theaters with as limited of a release as it had, being a 3-hour fucking slasher movie, unrated because of how graphic and fucked up it was, I think is a sign, like, we may not know that we're seeing it right now, but we'll know 50 years from now if people are looking back at it and being like, when Jordan Peele decided not to do sketch comedy anymore and came out with fucking Get Out, like everything changed.
Things were different.
So it's going to be, it'll take time for us to realize where that like turning point probably was again. But
of course. I guess I was kind of answering a different question. I feel more so of just the experience of watching a movie and it being so pivotal within a cultural moment. I feel like we're past that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I know we've had that discussion a few times where it's just because back then it was just
I don't think movie audiences now watch things as communally as they used to.
Right.
Like it used to be more, it feels like it, I mean, we experienced the end of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it always felt more of like everyone was going to see this movie. And like you were in the movie theater with a crowd, you were at the drive-in with a crowd, you know, and the next day you came home or you went to work or you went to school or whatever, and everybody was talking about the same movie. And like now, that happens because things go viral, but it's not one fucking thing.
Yeah, so we have a million things to watch.
Because it's just constant.
Yeah.
So like there are
most
things
people didn't even have fucking TVs back then.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So it's just it's wild. It sucks.
Yeah. But even the content, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like the content, because like you have something like Terrifier 2, which is a good example because I mean that was huge. That pulled in so much, so many people, so many impressive numbers, but the sheer content that you're watching, I still find it very hard to find films that can capture whatever fucked up magic that TCM was able to capture.
Yeah.
Especially in in like the third act of that movie. It's kind of weird. Like when you really sit back and watch it, it's weird.
Yeah.
It feels to me like they like, obviously I'm overgeneralizing, but it like most horror movie makers now are more worried about putting out a movie instead of what is this movie to me and why is it important to me and why do I have to make this movie? And I think that those are the things, because like watching all this stuff for 2, everybody on that, like surprisingly, I thought it was going to be a fucking shit show. And as far as the movie being written and some of the stuff that the studio did, it was a little bit like they cut out a lot of it. They cut out like a whole B story about them being dad and daughter, and like they were like and the script wasn't finished being written when they started filming it.
Yeah.
He had the first half, maybe 2/3, maybe less than that. And they went to go start scouting locations, and the dude writing it just went with them. And he was writing it while they were filming it. So that's probably why it gets weird towards the end.
Yeah.
But other than that, it like I thought that Dennis Hopper was gonna be absolutely a pain in the ass in this movie, and everyone was like, "No, he was perfect," because he's notoriously been
a pain
in the ass in other things. And apparently, he was like, he's Dennis Hopper, and apparently he was like, everyone was like, "No, he was great. He was fully professional. He was fully
probably
committed
started
to it."
after this movie. He started to become an asshole.
I think it was before this movie. I think that he'd gotten past all that shit and then had cycled back to being professional again.
So I know he said this was the worst movie he's ever been a part of.
Yeah.
Which is insane because everybody talking about it was like, he was great. He was fully committed to it.
Yeah.
Like he didn't act like anybody was below him or anything.
He said that again 10 years later when he made the Super Mario Brothers movie, though.
That's different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You know what? I think that the Super Mario Brothers overrode this because this is at least a good movie.
I was gonna say maybe it was just him being like, okay, Dennis, reel yourself in because you get to have a chainsaw fight. You get to go and be fucking weird guy with multiple chainsaws and get to do whatever you want with a fucking chainsaw. This is gonna be dope.
I have evidence that absolutely supports this. That he celebrated his 50th anniversary on set. They brought out a giant fucking cake for him. He was like, hold on. Left the room and came back with a chainsaw and cut the cake with a chainsaw.
Glorious.
So
there you go.
Yeah, dude.
Go.
And
that's the most Dennis Hopper thing.
Who of us wouldn't be like, I get to play with chainsaws and get paid for it and not die?
I'm sure it just wasn't well received and he had bad reviews.
Yeah,
That's the least favorite movie I was a part of.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But hey, man, here's the thing. Even if it was, it's a weird choice, but it totally works. And like, I was like, I don't love him in this. I love the energy that he brings to it, but
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
I'd like to have seen somebody less weird, maybe. But also,
but it works.
What movie would that have been then? Like, this movie's weird as fuck. Who else would be? Who else would work?
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be a little off center in this one.
I don't remember if I've asked this question in past talking about Bill Moseley. Where the fuck did he come from before this
Yale.
movie? You know what I mean?
He went to fucking Yale.
That's wild.
Did he really?
I wonder what he majored in.
Oh man, I had that written down. Because his appearance in this movie was because he did a short film called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yes,
and it was like a spoof, and he apparently he was friends with somebody who happened to have an office down from Tobe, and this dude watched it and he was like, "You got to give me a fucking copy of this. I got to show it to Tobe." And then Tobe got it and loved it because he was like, "This is fucking hilarious. I love your interpretation of the hitch," because he's playing the hitchhiker in this.
Right.
Gotcha.
And he was like, "I really like your interpretation of it. If we ever do another Texas Chainsaw movie, you're gonna be in it." And then a couple years later, Tobe Hooper calls him up and he's like, "All right, sure."
Yeah.
That's
Gunnar was
crazy.
supposed to be in it too, right? And then he I think there's some debate on what happened. I think the debate is he was offered the role, it wasn't enough, so he turned it down. But the studio says that's bullshit and that they're the ones that rescinded the offer.
Yeah, they said
So
he
I don't
took too
know
long to decide, and they just moved on.
Yeah.
But he said, he turned it down.
Yeah, he was probably like, "Do I really want to go through all this shit again?"
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I was saying. I'm like,
yeah.
does he just remember what the first movie was like? And was like,
Yeah, probably.
Because he was talking about it in that talk that I saw. It's on YouTube. It
Did I
was
get
back
more than
in
one shirt this time?
2015. Yeah. But he said he wanted to do it.
You get two.
I'm wondering if he's just saying that now, looking back.
in retrospect.
Yeah.
Well, they did cast Bill Johnson, and then when he got on set, they found out he couldn't lift the chainsaw.
What,
So
really?
Bill Johnson is credited as Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and you only see him in a couple of the close-up shots where it's like just Leatherface's face on screen. 90% of the footage of Leatherface is Bob Elmore, the stuntman.
Whoa.
Wow. That
Really?
documentary definitely glossed over that.
It's
They
apparently
treated
been
Bill
covered
Johnson like
by Bill
he was
and
the-
Bob in multiple interviews. But
Wow.
yeah,
Damn.
that's
crazy.
I mean, it doesn't.
How
reflect
heavy
the-
was that fucking chainsaw?
I mean, those were some
Yeah.
big ass
That was
chainsaws.
a big-
it was a big one in this one.
big
Yeah,
chainsaw.
That was one of those
jeez.
Sequoia chainsaws.
but yeah, I know this because I met Bob. This is again, like I said, I didn't know much about these movies, and then I met Bob at Midsummer Scream a couple years ago because he was at Drew Marvick's table, and Drew Marvick's actually the one who gave me the mug that you can't see right now, but it says Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But
Good mug.
Bob Elmore was there, and he had the big
No, it's
banner up.
not.
We can
No, it's
we'll talk
not.
about that later. But Bob Elmore was there, and he had the banner behind him and all these pictures of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw 2. And I was like, I feel like it was a different person. And so I'm Googling it while I'm at Midsummer Scream, and I read all this information, all these details. And I'm like, yeah, like a lot of the photos you see from set, like a lot of the iconic images of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw 2 are all Bob Elmore dressed as
That's
Leatherface.
crazy.
And so I got an
Wow.
autographed photo of him. It's like this really sick black and white of him leaning up against the wall with the chainsaw. Just looking really badass. Super nice guy. But yeah, I didn't know that until I met him and Googled it. And then I was looking through all the like behind the scenes info online about this one. And yeah, apparently it's been confirmed by multiple sources that
Damn.
Bill Johnson's
That's
like, I'll get
crazy.
top credit as Leatherface. You'll see my face on screen a few times, but Bob does all the chainsaw action.
Wow.
Wow.
That
Yeah,
sucks
there's a lot of
because-
chainsaw action in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
A lot of
of
gore in that movie.
There's a lot of especially compared to the first one.
Yeah. They said Tobe just like, I think it's similar to when John Carpenter did Halloween 2. And they're like, we need to make a sequel. And he was like, well, nowadays it's the 80s. Everyone wants really fucking brutal kills and gore. So that's what we got to do for Halloween too. And I feel like Tobe was the same way, except he was like, I'm not going to try getting a PG rating this time. And apparently you didn't realize I was making a comedy. So now we're going to go fucking bonkers and just blow it out. And he did.
I still don't understand
with Tom
that.
Savini, no less.
Yeah.
Right. How the fuck is the first one supposed to be a comedy? What's supposed to be? Where's the comedy?
Lost on me. It's what we were saying last.
The coffee table was a black comedy too, right?
Yeah.
I don't see the comedy.
Coffee table's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
a new franchise starts. Yeah. Second one's gonna be super funny.
Yeah.
Like that kind of makes me.
Yeah.
You cut my head off. Back to haunt you.
This is why you should know in glass
like,
coffee tables.
You fucking idiot. Okay. So like that makes me feel like Tobe was just angry at the world. I don't know how old he was when he made the first one, but
college age, so probably angry at the world.
Yeah. Early 20s. So it makes it like the only thing I can think of is him being in such a fuck you mindset.
He was 30.
Whatever.
He was 74, right? Yeah. So he was 30.
Yeah. 30?
Yeah. He's born in 1943, January of 1943. So they were filming it in 73. So he would have been 30.
Wow.
No.
That's crazy. I thought that he was much younger than that. So, okay. So he was still angry at the world.
Well, also look at
like, I was still pretty pissed off when I was
74 was a rough time.
Yeah. From 65 to the 70s. That was a fucked up 15 years.
Yeah.
But still, like, there's nothing funny about that movie. So for
the grandpa scene kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's about and the hitchhiker stuff is
but like not enough for him to be like, I'm making a black comedy, or I'm just making a really fucked up comedy. Like that shows.
Wait, did you guys not guffaw whenever he meat hooked her?
Right? Like like
guffaw.
how I guess that shows like where his mental state which of course his mental state's fucked up. He made Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. But like him making that movie going like, that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean maybe that's
falls over and drops his chainsaw on his own leg. That's
pretty fucking
kind of
slapstick.
Yeah.
It's slapstick. Yeah.
Also, you know what? Also the him
right out of the Three Stooges.
The fucking honestly, the him hitting what's his face in the head the very first time. That's pretty slapstick. Him, super funny. Killed that guy, and then he fucking him grabbing her and pulling her in. That's pretty slapstick. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what? What's funny is like as you're saying all of these, I'm replaying them in my head, and I know you're joking, but also at the same time,
a little bit. But like I could see. I could see the connection.
What are you guys talking about?
He was just missing the right music.
Yeah.
If you put music behind it. Like you get a Benny Hill theme as he's pulling her back into the house. Or you get a good rim shot right as the hammer hits that dude's skull, and then he's seizing to like
It is, especially the hammer hit to the head. It is very Three Stooges-esque. Yeah. So
also there's that part where he chainsaws Franklin to death in his own wheelchair. That's pretty.
Okay, see now you're
that's hilarious.
Now you're going too far. But maybe that's what he was seeing it in his head, but then obviously filming it and having it on that film stock and that setting and no music or the music that they did have was like, oh, I accidentally made the most terrifying movie ever.
Every Tobe Hooper movie has been him trying to make a live action Looney Tunes movie, and he just keeps getting the wrong crew.
He just keeps getting screwed up.
He keeps getting a horror crew, and he's like, oh, this is not what I wanted at all.
Yeah. What's this? Some people get into some hijinks at the carnival? Yep, I call it the fun house. What? This is fucking terrifying. Again? Nobody understands my humor.
I thought it was they got stuck in a haunted house. It's hilarious.
Yeah. This one is very haunting and very unsettling. It's space vampires. Come on. It's supposed to be really...
It's called Eaten Alive.
Exactly.
What don't you understand?
Nobody gets my humor.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always get jealous of this. My in-laws are here. They're upstairs. And I remember my father-in-law telling me the first date that he took my mother-in-law on was to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the drive-in
Awesome.
somewhere in Orange County.
And they're still
It's just
together.
like,
There it is.
yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's how you build a
But
good
can you imagine going
relationship.
to seeing that shit in a drive-in back? Like, I just get so envious of that, of how
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like that is I can imagine it being one of those films where you watch it, especially as people who eventually went on to go make films, and to see that for the first time, that had to have been a moment of realization for people who were filmmaking or wanted to go into making films.
Look at
where,
Evil Dead, right?
Yeah, you watch it and you're like, holy fuck, I could do anything now.
Yeah.
Like, you could do this? Okay, cool. Now I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's the exact story that you hear Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell always talk about. They went to go see that and they're like, holy shit. Like, what are we doing trying to make comedies? Let's make a horror. Like, look how fucking impactful
and they
this is.
fucked
And
up.
look at the audience.
They fucked up.
Yeah.
They should have kept trying to make comedies because clearly Texas Chainsaw comedy.
Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah.
Instead, they just made another one of the greatest horror movies ever.
But then could it?
Yeah.
But would that still happen now? Like, you have to wonder, with the knowing what happened behind the scenes and what a fucking nightmare it was to make this movie, and how it just like the cinematography just right, the sound design just right, the choices the actors made, the choices Tobe made, everything just fucking clicked, and it became just like this iconic piece of cinema. But for every one of these, there's like 1,000 people who also went through an absolute nightmare shoot making a horror movie that we've still never fucking heard of because it was dog shit.
Right.
And just like, nothing worked. They're like, these actors that we hired couldn't act. And the sound design guy didn't do well. And we thought we needed to include this like gore, and it didn't happen. And everyone was also miserable and have nothing to show for it.
It's not necessarily just a matter of getting the people that have the talent and the know-how. It's getting the people that have the grit and are able to fucking like tough it out.
Yeah. Not everybody's willing to do that.
Fuck no.
Of course.
Dude,
especially for what they got paid back then.
In any endeavor. You know what I mean? It's not just movies, but in this in particular, I could see why someone halfway through shooting Texas Chainsaw Massacre would just quit.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what
and
I
the
mean?
union wouldn't let them do what they did half the time either.
Right.
No.
Of course.
No. But yeah, it really poses the question of like, what would that movie be like today? Would it even be, if somebody were to have that idea today, would it even be the same? And also, like that, I haven't watched the trailer to Long Legs, the new Nick Cage movie that's coming out. But as you guys are talking, I'm thinking of how long it's been that we've been watching serial killers or fucked up slasher icons and these characters. And it's like, I'm thinking of the Long Legs thing because their new promotional stuff just came out today. Yeah. And I know Nicolas Cage is going to be the serial killer. And it's like, that's cool. But it almost, I've seen so many serial killer characters now that it's like, it's like, okay, cool. Nick Cage is playing a serial killer now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like there's characters. Whereas the whole family in TCM, it's like, what is this? Who the fuck are these people? It feels different. And I don't know if that's just because that movie is iconic or that hasn't really been done by before then. But now I've watched all this stuff.
The same thing is what makes the second one good for what it is because you're seeing them. You're seeing their world now. That's one of the reasons why I love it. Like, first off, I just love crazy sets. But like that's a
cool way to put it. I didn't think about that. You really are introduced into their little world.
It's one of the only movies for Texas Chainsaw that actually world builds, except for Next Generation. But Next Generation is a totally different world.
Yeah.
But like, this is like, first off, how the fuck did they get this goddamn theme park? Like, I really, that's the one thing. Now I love the idea that somehow the grandpa owned it.
That's what we need. That's because you see all like the requels and reboots and everything like that. We need somebody to make the movie that takes place between the first two where they relocate to this.
Oh my God. That would be incredible. It's like a Beverly Hills Hillbillies road trip movie. Like not that many people die.
Exactly. Oh man.
But like, so they've been at this theme park for clearly fucking years.
Yeah.
Because like, look at how much they've hoarded. And like, I don't know. It just tells so much of a story that that's why I like it, I guess. Because again, like it's about the family and it's about the characters and it's about a unique look into something that you don't see every fucking day. Because like, other than Ed Gein, but even this is different. It's the same thing as House of a Thousand Corpses. That's why House of a Thousand Corpses works so well. You're introduced to a family of characters that are completely unique and they're interesting. And like, there's not a whole lot of character focused horror anymore.
Yeah. I can understand that. Yeah.
Indeed. Yes, we all agree.
Did you know Joe Bob Briggs was casted in the second one, and he actually got his scene got cut out?
Yeah.
What was the scene? Has he ever said?
I think he was.
I think it's a deleted scene on the special edition DVD, which I do own, but I didn't watch that version. I just pulled it up on like streaming. So I'm sorry. I know. I have homework now. I'll watch it. Because there's another scene apparently where they go shopping for prime meat to put in the chili. It was like a long, gory scene that had a lot of Tom Savini effects in it, and they cut that whole scene too.
Speaking of eating human meat, so okay, he's taking the human meat, he's putting it in the chili, and he's selling it, and he's getting all this he's becoming popular because he's feeding everybody human meat. Not that I've dove too far into eating human meat, but as much as what the consequences of eating human meat, I'm just going to find how many times I can say the phrase human meat.
It's a good phrase.
Yeah.
Sounds tasty.
When I think about eating human meat, the first thing that inevitably pops in my head is the whole sequence in I Saw the Devil, where they're talking, where the serial killer goes to see his friend and he's eating the fucking human meat, and he's like, "This has driven you crazy." So, is there? Is there a scientific thing where you will start to go crazy if you eat too much of it?
I mean, I could go look up the actual stuff, but it's called it's a prion disease.
It's if it's not cooked though, right?
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Really?
It has to do with the enzymes, I think, in the human brain. That, I mean, they come from the human brain, I guess, but like they permeate the body, and then it's I don't know how to describe, because prion is such a weird medical thing. It's not like any other sickness. It's like a nerve worm, sort of. And it builds up over time. So the more of it you eat, the more it builds up in your system, and the worse it gets. So I don't know how that would work. Like it depends on how much chili they're eating. They're clearly insane from it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are for sure. But I guess that's where I was going.
They have loyal customers in Texas. Yeah, wouldn't that be affecting the other people?
Right.
Well,
that's the sequel. That's the part that should have been part 3.
And that was supposed to be part 2, sort of. It was supposed to be like a lot of cannibals. And they had to originally it was supposed to be like way bigger. Like it was like a town of cannibals.
Really?
And they had obviously they had to cut that way.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's the fucking that's an amazing movie right there. Like, oh, the fucking Texas Chainsaw family has been feeding this town fucking human meat for so long that they created a cult. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Give us some money, we'll make it. It doesn't have to be called Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Fuck, that's awesome. If any people out there just stole their idea and in 5 years that we see this movie, we're coming.
We'll know it's you.
Yeah.
Did you know?
You could just come to us and have us make it with you.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Did you know Tobe Hooper? Tobe Hooper was in Coming to America.
What?
He's uncredited, but he's in it. I don't know. He's very, very low in the credits. But again, just one of those weird finds as I'm watching movies and just looking at what people are in. It's like what's Tobe Hooper's acting in some movies? Like he's in Coming to America.
Well, he has a cameo in TCM 2 as one of the guys frolicking in the hotel or something. That's literally what it says in the notes. I don't use the word frolicking often myself. I'm reading it. This isn't me trying to just drop that into conversation.
Part of that cameo, I think, is a reference to just him on the set, obviously, because apparently he constantly had a cigar and a Dr. Pepper. Like he had somebody who would just bring him Dr. Peppers and make sure he constantly had Dr. Peppers. So I'm pretty sure when he turns, he's got the cigar and then he throws the can of Dr. Pepper.
Really?
Wow. That's funny.
It's a nice pairing, cigar and a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I haven't had to Dr.
Apparently,
Pepper
Tom Savini got him
years.
one of those beer hats so that he could have 2 Dr. Peppers at the same time
while
smoking a cigarette and have both hands free.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Tom Savini looking out.
Legend.
So Tobe Hooper's casted as party guest, uncredited in Coming to America.
Oh, so he just plays a party guest and everything.
Yeah,
right?
He's pretty good at it.
Second to last person.
I'm really good at partying in the background, guys. If you need anybody to just stand over here and hold a drink.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knew the filmmaker or something.
Oh yeah, he had to. John Landis.
Tobe Hooper
Coming to America.
Best friends with with fuck, totally blanked on his name. Cut this. Go ahead.
God, John Landis directed Coming to America.
Yeah,
that's
Eddie
weird.
Murphy was this obviously a separate episode, but Eddie Murphy wanted to do him a favor because he felt really bad for what John Landis was going through after the Twilight Zone movie, and so he was like, "Get John Landis."
What he put himself through?
And the studio was like, John Landis is kind of like off limits right now, and Eddie's like, "Yeah, but he's a friend of mine. And I want to give him another chance." And we could probably get him for cheap. And so, they got John Landis to direct Coming to America. And Eddie said he was the biggest fucking asshole on set. And he regrets giving him that opportunity.
Fuck yes.
He was like,
That's
like,
I'm
I went
so
out on a limb
happy
to
that
give him a job. And he was a complete fucking dick. Like
every
That's
time
crazy.
I hear something new about him, I just fucking hate him more.
Yeah.
Really?
He seems like
I didn't
such
know
a
that.
piece of shit.
Oh, dude. On you should watch that Cursed series on Shudder. And watch the Twilight Zone episode. It is.
Dude, it's
I didn't realize any of that.
Really?
I met him at Halloween Horror Nights and I was like so stoked because I was like, oh fuck, American Werewolf in London's like one of my favorite movies of all time. I can't believe I'm meeting John Landis. And I got a photo with him. It's still on my Instagram. But he just, he seemed very just like not happy to be there. Was very snarky and kind of rude to people. He was doing a walkthrough of the American Werewolf in London maze that we did for Halloween Horror Nights.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, he just seems not happy to be here. Like he was pissed off that half the maze didn't work and something. He had some snarky comments, whatever. Maybe it's a bad night. And then later on, I found out about the Twilight Zone incident, and I was like, oh. And then I read more about him, and I was like, oh, he's just like he's a piece of shit. Never mind. Like
he's just a dick.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I also met Rick Baker that night.
wild.
Rick Baker, one of the kindest men I've ever met in my life. So he's still an icon.
Like a fucking absolute
Rick Baker for life.
That seems so fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. I just wanted to drop that name. I was like, how can I mention Rick Baker? I'll talk about the time John Landis was a piece of shit. And then I can shoehorn in Rick Baker.
Yeah, no, you get to bring it back from the brink of with Rick Baker. It's perfect.
That's right, yeah. But no, Texas Chainsaw 2 is great. I don't know if it's a better film than the first one. I know I have a mug that says so. I just rewatched the second one more than the first one because these aren't facts, Justin. This is all just opinions. This is what the discussion is for. I just think it's
I don't think you understand. You're on the CREEP-O-RAMA Fact Cast.
Welcome to the CREEP-O-RAMA Fact Check. With complete fucking imbecile Josh Levesque as
wrong.
our guest today.
Josh is wrong. Yeah. Check. Josh is wrong.
He will not be back for the rest of this franchise. No.
Oh my God. We start punishing all of our guests.
What do you mean you have that opinion? What the fuck?
You can come back. You can come back for Jaws
when we emailed you and invited you on the podcast. None of this is allowed.
You come my opinion. Respect my opinion.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Get the fuck out. Thank you for coming.
Did you know?
I look forward to working with you.
What was there's the connection? Do you know the connection with these movies to Motel Hell?
No.
I think Tobe Hooper was supposed to do Motel Hell and said no, like it's too close to Texas Chainsaw or something. Like he turned it down. And Motel Hell was originally written to be a parody of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then they just kind of gave it its own flavor to make it its own movie. And then Toby wrote his first draft of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as a parody of Motel Hell, as like a fuck you guys.
This all makes
and
sense.
then they refreshed the script to be like, no, we're gonna make it more about the Sawyer family and not so close to this. So yeah, it's like the feuding franchises.
That's wild.
That happens so much.
Yeah. I did read that the building that they were doing production in Austin had actually burnt down, or it caught fire. Did you see this?
Oh shit! No.
Found all the bodies.
The police department showed, or the fire department showed up, and they just see all these like body parts everywhere. They're like, "Oh, fuck. Like what's going on?"
They thought they had found some like serial killer's lair or something because they didn't realize it was all
for the second one
fake parts. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Because they had fucking body parts all over the place, and it was burning down. And they're like, they thought
That's so funny.
Because apparently that was like an old newspaper.
Oh no! They're saying when the fire department and cops showed up, they didn't know that it was filming.
Yeah, they didn't know they were filming a movie there.
Bodies.
Yeah,
so they thought the fake bodies were real.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that had to have been hilarious.
I should explain that better.
No, I kind of liked the realization along all the screens. Yeah.
Dre, cut
did
that.
you know?
Hey guys, did you?
I did not. This is brand new news to me, Derek. Thank you so much for including this in the podcast.
I am glad that this is the first time we are hearing this. And that we can do improvised reactions.
Right. I thought this was wild. The dude that did the sound, John Bartlett. He's doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in 1980. Is it 86?
Yeah.
He just did the last 2 Dune movies. He did the recent Blade Runner. He did the original Blade Runner. He did Us. He did Reservoir Dogs, Batman Begins, Die Hard, Heat, Cabin in the Woods. There's just this huge list of big movies that he's done sound for. That's fucking nuts. That's a long career.
Yeah, that's a hell of a resume,
significant movies.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
That was crazy.
To think, all because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Top of his resume.
But yeah, you know what? Going back to Bill Moseley, because like thinking of a career that came off of that movie, like I've seen him in a bunch of stuff now, but it's really crazy to think like that guy just kind of came out of nowhere in that role and how well that clicked and how iconic that character has become. It's just crazy to think about. Because you don't see that often.
Well, it's apparently Bill's favorite character he's ever played.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
There was a thing in the documentary stuff that because they didn't interview Toby, but they interviewed pretty much everybody else, and they were like, Bill Moseley is like, so I was doing the scene where I'm beating LJ's head in, and Toby calls, cut. All right, let's run it again. And Bill Moseley's like, "What? Am I doing something wrong? Like, am I not getting it?" And he's like, "Oh no, man, I'm just having fun. I'm just having fun watching you, brother." And Bill Moseley was like, "Oh, okay, all right, I got it.
Awesome,
got it."
That's
like,
funny.
Yeah,
you can tell because one of the things I noticed about watching it earlier was how long his scenes where he's just kind of by himself, especially in the radio station, where it's just. You can tell like they just hit record and they're like, just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like here's the context. Just do it. And you can tell he just,
Did he improvise that dog dick line or do you think that was scripted? That's a hell of a line. That's a great line.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
He's got a bunch of little one-liners in there. The dog will hunt. But lick my plate the whole time. It's
myself.
Fucking classic.
Yeah, lick my plate is amazing. It's interesting because whenever Savini, apparently when Savini does, I don't know if he still does this, But when Savini was doing makeup for Texas Chainsaw 2, I'll get all the words in there. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Probably could have just said this film, but
Yeah.
We're talking about two films.
Paris, Texas?
Yeah.
Paris,
Same, right?
Texas Massacre. But whenever he
Part
was
two.
doing the makeup for Bill and for Leatherface and stuff, he would ask them questions and make them reply to him as the characters to start like working on it as they're getting the makeup on and shit. And like that's like
That's
you're
cool.
fucking doing acting coaching with Tom Savini while he fucking pastes a plate onto your head. That's incredible. Like, what life are you living?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Also, another makeup thing is the LG skinned LG thing. Apparently, that took 9 hours to apply. He came in at fucking midnight, and then they had to be on set at 9. So they just Savini made him like a table so he could be both standing and laying back on it, because he was like, "You're gonna go to sleep." He's like, "I'm not gonna go to sleep," and then immediately went to sleep and woke up, and he was just fucking skinned.
That's nuts.
Like,
That's
how do you
awesome.
sleep through that?
He seemed
right.
I mean, I guess he was just
Yeah.
fucking
real tired, yeah.
But like, he seemed real nonchalant about waking up skinned. But I feel like if I woke up like out of like a fucking like I got here at midnight haze, I'd be like, "What the fuck went on? What happened?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Do you know
crazy.
Bill Moseley was in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid?
What, really?
What?
Yeah.
The hell was
I
he
did not
in?
see that. I saw that he was soldier number 2 in The Blob.
Yes.
And then I remember him
Yes,
taking
yes,
over as
that's-
Ricky in Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. And then he's Johnny in the Night of the Living Dead remake.
I don't think I've seen 3.
Federal
yeah.
Marshal and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. You haven't seen Silent Night, Deadly Night 3? It's
No.
Ricky awakening from his like coma, and he's got a glass dome on his head so you can see his exposed brain.
I'm in.
It's-
I'm in.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not. It might
Oh,
be.
no.
It might be my least favorite
course.
Silent Night, Deadly Night movie. It's probably tied with 4. I know a lot of people really love 4, but 4 has absolutely nothing to do with like
Is 4
Christmas
Garbage
or the
Day?
franchise. No, 2 is Garbage
No, that's
Day.
2.
4 is about
2 is
insects.
Jesus.
And
What?
then it has nothing to do with the rest of the franchise. But the first 3 is the Ricky like storyline. And then 4 is about someone who controls insects, not phenomena. It's something not as good. And then
Does it have anything to do with Christmas?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I kind of want
And
to
then
see
the
it.
5th one,
Sounds
I
awesome.
binged them all last
God
Christmas,
damn
and
it,
it was fun. The 5th one is secretly my favorite. That's the Toy Maker, and it's really creepy. It's got Andy Rooney in it, which is what everyone shares that meme, because Andy Rooney said the first Silent Night, Deadly Night was like a fucking travesty, and he can't believe these movies get made, and whoever likes them are just like sick individuals. And then he starred in part 5. But yeah, we should do that franchise sometime in the coming months, so we can release it around Christmas time, because they're classic.
Yeah.
And Bill Moseley plays Ricky in the 3rd one, and if you just Google an image of him, it looks absurd. He just looks like a Spirit Halloween like headpiece
great.
that makes it look like his brain is
That's
floating
wild.
in like a little fishbowl.
Wow.
That's
all
awesome.
I like a good brain in a fish.
I did not know he was in the Honey, I Blew
Yeah.
Up the Kid, though. He's done so much.
He's got a lot of movies
Yeah.
on. I mean, most of it doesn't seem to be. Honey,
It's all over the place.
yeah, it really is.
But I mean, I feel like that's kind of the ideal. I mean, for him, like the ideal
Yeah.
career is you just make some shit that you're not super concerned about winning awards for, or going like, he's like, yeah, I get a
Sure.
paycheck and I get to make another horror movie, and I get a paycheck and I get to have fun with these
Right.
people, and it's tagging on my resume. And then every
Absolutely.
once in a while he makes one of the most iconic horror characters
Yeah.
of all time, because he's got Otis,
And he's got
Right.
two under his
and he's
belt.
got Chopped Up.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, him as Otis, especially in Devil's Rejects, and towards the end of House of a Thousand Corpses. I know Corpses is kind of choppy and all over the place for a bunch of reasons, but he that's another role. Like he just completely embodied that guy
Oh, he's awesome in that.
in
Yeah.
a way that is just fucking unnerving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome in that.
Oh, and then he's in Texas Chainsaw 3D is Drayton.
I've blocked everything out of
Oh,
my
3D.
head of
Oh,
that movie.
3D. I hear 3.
All I hear is
think of
the
cuz.
what?
Do your thing, cuz.
What does she say? Do your thing, cuz.
Yeah. And then he was also in Repo, which is, if you haven't seen that one's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Definitely know he's very
Yeah.
Repo's crazy.
What's the cuz thing? Who says cuz?
So that's,
just
you'll
wait, just wait.
We'll get
Yeah,
there.
just wait.
It's like 2 or 3 episodes from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw a
It's
clip
not
of Paul Walker in Fast and Furious where he says,
Forget about it, cuz.
It's so good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
There's an Instagram page that I follow that's just called Forget About It, cuz. And every day,
What's up with these
they
Instagram
post-
accounts that do
they
that?
post that? They post that clip every day.
Amazing.
There's
without
a few
fail.
of those
Yeah.
accounts that I keep
Yeah.
keep making their way into my feed. Like, come on,
Because
man.
Justin
There's the,
fucking
have you
follows him.
seen
He
the-
keeps liking the same goddamn post every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Hysterical.
There's a
Like what a commitment to the bit, you know?
yeah, yeah. There's an account doing that. I'm sure it's just AI. Like it's not a guy doing it. He just has it like scheduled out, or maybe not AI, but it's pre-scheduled out. There's one the Sa dude. Have you seen that one?
No.
Sa dude. It's just the same thing. It's just an account posting the same clip every day. It's just a guy going, Sa dude. It's so fucking stupid.
What the fuck?
It's so dumb.
Look, you laugh now, but one day you're going to need that clip to respond to somebody in a flippant way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
and
know
you're
where
gonna
to
be
find
like,
it.
I know
I
where
didn't
to
know
get
they
it.
were on Instagram.
Yeah,
I
definitely
always
posted
see
it
them on
today.
Twitter because there's one that just posts the clip of Garth in Wayne's World saying he does this every Friday. Every Friday. And then there's one that posts
does this
the
every Friday.
clip of Daniel Craig on SNL when he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend." And they just post it every Friday night.
That's so funny.
We got to do the
That's
Wayne's
good.
World movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much.
Do we have any more TCM fun facts, or should we go into the Rotten Tomato stuff?
I like the line, get that eyeball pate working. That's a great line. But no.
I like all the
last note. My last note is this is a very fun movie.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up, what the fuck is the they live on fear thing? Why does she say that as though it's like a fact?
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering the exact same thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, her dialogue in that scene is kind of weird. Like whenever she's sitting there and he's chainsawing ice.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "Why did you just ask him if he's mad at you?"
That stuff I'm okay with, because she's like trying to like psychoanalyze him and
and he's like, "No, I just hate fucking ice."
yeah.
Fuck
Well,
this
I mean,
ice.
maybe he does, because he doesn't
Maybe.
chainsaw her.
No,
Right.
he just chainsaws the ice.
Yeah. Beer. I like that there's like a big red in there, so there's a little bit of red in the ice too.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought there was a interesting, funny story about how Gunnar got the role when he auditioned. I don't know if you came across any of those stories where he basically was just like, "Yeah, I was just the biggest guy that auditioned for the role."
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
And Toby's like, "Yeah, let's just give it to
That'll
him."
work.
Like it had nothing to do with like talent or fits the. I don't know. It's just
I read that
just big.
he turned it down originally, like wasn't interested because it was too brutal. And then Marilyn Burns,
Really?
who's a friend of his, was like, "Please come do this movie with us," and had to talk him into it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
I like. I mean, to me, that's Leatherface.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing else is. Although, I mean, we'll get to the remake in the beginning. I thought that guy did a good job.
Yeah. I think that
At
those
least-
they're really good in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way. But
It'd have been really weird if Gunnar did the second one. It wouldn't have fit.
No,
No,
I think he would
right?
have been
Like
too slow. I think the dude needed to move quicker in this one. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just to play it
Play a little more
goofy,
silly,
right? It's a
yeah.
goofy
That too,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. It's completely different.
I did like the there were lines of gibberish written into the script for Leatherface in the first one, and Toby would sit with Gunnar and tell him what these lines meant. Like, no one else is going to understand what you're saying, but this is what Leatherface is saying in this scene. And the actor just had to figure out a way to say that without actually speaking. And when the old man comes home and starts yelling at Leatherface about what he did to the door, there was a take where he communicated too verbally, and Hooper was like, cut, no, there's way too much intelligence in the character. Let's go again. And he was like, my one chance to have like almost a line. And Toby was like, absolutely not. No.
Right.
That's so funny.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
All
right. So Rotten
Let's
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Wait.
right.
Hold on. One more thing. This is kind of important for two. Lou Perryman, the actor who plays LJ, was fucking murdered by a random fucking drug addict who broke into his house, killed him with an axe in order to take his fucking car.
Jesus.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah, dude.
When did that happen?
Was this in LA?
I think so, yeah. I believe
That's
so.
nuts.
He was 67. It doesn't have a year.
That is wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. It was definitely after the fucking documentary, so it was after
Really?
it was like 2000. Hold on.
What was his name?
Lou Perryman. It was 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
Luke Perry?
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry.
Also.
It's also, passed away.
Lou Perryman.
Yeah.
Damn. That is rough.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's fucking nuts, dude.
Whoa,
I found that out from the fucking YouTube comments on the documentary thing. Otherwise, I definitely would never have found that. That's wild.
Yeah. I just read about it on IMDb. That is nuts.
I didn't know, but he was an assistant cameraman on the first one.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
wow.
cool.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Huh.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah, damn.
Huh.
That's nuts. That was a downer.
Yeah. Do we have any more fun facts about the movies?
Let's check those scores.
Yeah. All right. So the first one, we got an 89% tomato meter, 82% audience score.
What?
I feel like those should be a lot higher. It's a weird
especially the audience score.
Yeah,
why the fuck is that only 82?
Yeah, it's weird.
People just don't understand.
People don't understand
good cinema.
They don't understand my movie. We know, Toby. We know. It's a comedy.
Hilarious. Can't you see how hilarious it is? He chainsaws a guy in a wheelchair.
That's funny.
Second one, 50% tomato meter, 46% audience score.
Oh, fuck off.
Wow.
Fuck off. That's
unnecessary.
Rude.
I mean, again, guys, this is why we read the Rotten Tomatoes, is for that, right? We know these are going to be low.
We know these are going to be wrong. This is the CREEP-O-RAMA Fact Cast.
Yeah. Fuckers.
It's to like increase our hipsterness.
We know what a good movie is, and Rotten Tomatoes doesn't.
Yeah. We get this so much, and they don't.
Whatever. They probably love The Conjuring. These people don't even know shit.
But that's true. That movie's like, that's way more than an 82% for the first one.
Yeah.
The first one's weird. Second one was 50, 46.
Yeah, 46. Fuck off. Come on.
46 audience is crazy.
I get it. Anything 80s campy, it's not going to be super high, but like for guys like us, would be like, yeah, it's fucking awesome.
But yet everybody who watched that movie, well, not everybody, but I'm sure a large percentage of the people who watched that movie, reviewed it on Rotten Tomatoes, has watched other 80s campy films. You should know.
Yeah.
That's the whole fucking decade.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also, you're expecting the first one, right?
Yeah,
you're expecting that, and then you get something that's completely
learn
opposite.
Learn how to separate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Two different films.
Come on.
Sorry you couldn't figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre again.
Yeah.
Chainsaw's one word in this one, not two. Completely different film.
Yeah, completely.
That's the difference.
Whoa. Whoa, is it?
Yeah. In the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, chainsaw is 2 words. That's how you can tell the difference. In the remake, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Chainsaw is 1 word, and then the new one on Netflix is just Texas Chainsaw Massacre. No the.
Isn't the tool, the chainsaw, 1 word?
I don't think it might not have been 1 word in '74. Maybe it was added to Merriam-Webster within that 12-year window.
They changed.
I also think that because Canon had nothing to do with the first one, right, Justin? Since you have the VHS right there.
No, yeah, because like this is the original, VHS release, and it's.
Yeah, I think when Canon did it, they putting the word as 1 word changes the legality of it, so they could do it.
Maybe.
Oh,
I think on.
Really?
I know I have.
I mean, it's pretty close.
It is pretty close. I mean, there's definitely a legal debate. But also, I don't think that anybody from the original would have come after them because it was all mafia.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So I think they were like,
That's right. That's the fact I was trying to pull up, was the ridiculous deep throat history and everything like that. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it gets pretty nuts.
So I have a thing that I kind of want to do to end this episode, which is different than we normally end it. No. Wow, Josh, you're just gonna judge me straight at this. You don't even know what I'm gonna do. You don't even know how I'm gonna take my pants off.
I swear to God, no.
It's not. It's you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
All right.
So
this concludes the broadcast day for KOKLA in Burnett, Texas, Red River Rock and Roll. It's New York. In New York, it's 1 a.m. Still Fun City. In LA, 10 o'clock at night, party time. But deep in the heart of Texas, it's 12 midnight. Ain't nothing going on.
That was a spot on impression.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Spot on.
Dude.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm very aroused.
I'm up.
You up? Inside joke.
Yeah. 6 to midnight.